It's Module 5. This is the second part, and we'll be going a little bit further into the National Electrical Code book. And we're going to be looking at how to navigate through the code book. So we're going to explain the layout of the NEC. We're going to use the NEC to find specific installation requirements. So we will do this in the classroom. We will have a NAC in front of us. We're going to turn to Article 90, and we know that 90 is starting with the introduction, getting into understanding the different parts of the NEC. So we're going to determine the scope of the NEC, state what is covered and what is not covered by the NEC. We're going to find the definitions of the term feeder in the NEC. And we're going to look up the NEC requirements needed to install an outlet near a swimming pool. Now, this is really interesting because, and if you didn't know the codes, you can go to the NEC. They won't tell you how to do it, but they will explain you the right way that it needs or the requirements for it. So, but also we're going to find the minimum wire bending space required for two number 1 American wire gauge conductors installed in a junction box or cabinet and entering an opposite the termination. So basically, if we look at the National Electrical Code, it provides mandatory rules and permissible rules, mandatory and permissible. So in other words, they give you some type of option. In other words, there's certain things that must be done a certain way, and there's no choice. And there's other things that certain things might be permissible, but it would still be safe. So again, it provides the rules that need to be followed. Mandatory rules must be followed and are categorized by the term shall or shall not. Permissible rules are characterized by the term shall be permitted or shall not be permitted. So let's look at this flow chart. If we look at this, how everything's put together, we have again the introduction is Article 90, and then we have all the chapters 1 through 9, and those would be articles that's dealing with very specific things. Each one of them have articles, parts, sections, informative annexes, index, and schedules. And so as we go through each section, it will be divided up into different parts, and these different parts will help you find things. Now, here's a great thing about it. The structure of the NAC for every article or every chapter will follow the same format. So you can find things. So you could start in the very beginning. There would be a short introduction, and they would go into the different parts, and they divided up each one of the parts into sections. So the parts and sections, and so in other words, there's a part. It might be part 1 or section 90.1. Then the next one would be 90.2, 90.3. So again, you will be able to remember these codes once you use it a lot, and you will be able to know, okay, yes, that's rule number 90.15. And if it's a sub part of that, they could break it out to like 90.15.1. Then 0.2, then 0.3, and so it will keep going. 90.16.1, and again, you'll see once we get into it how the book is actually put together to make it easy to find certain things or to break things into subparts. So again, you might be looking at electrical installation of a service panel, and you may break it down. Is the service panel going to be indoors or is it going to be outdoors? Is it going to be in a conditioned space or is it not going to be in conditioned space? So again, it can break it down to subsections where you can be very specific in these tasks that you're looking at. Now, this is UL. We talked about that, and UL is an organization, Underwriters Laboratory, that set uh, standards for things that get manufactured to prove that it actually worked before it goes to the marketplace. They don't have to have the UL. They could sell things without UL ratings. However, something that do have the UL rating got a better chance of reliability, but more than that, for safety, and the um, people who are using can feel comfortable that it been backed by an organization that sit there and test everything. And when I say they test, they will blow up things. They will burn up things. They would just do things to see what it would take to destroy it. So they compare it with other components. So some product safety certification laboratories, such as Underwriters Laboratory Incorporated, maintain a worldwide network of field representatives who make unannounced visits to manufacturing. Now that's the point. They don't go to job sites, but they actually looking at components or equipment. So visit the manufacturing facilities to countercheck products bearing their seals of approval. So they don't go to any factory, only the ones who actually using them and got their testing through their agency. They just want to make sure that how its manufacturers continue that way. If there were some changes, they would have to document it and resubmit that for reapproval, just to make sure especially if it's a major change. So again, that's organizations that is used. Of course, it's not like how the NEC, they set the standards of how things should be installed, but UL will look at the manufacturing process. So here's the definition are located in NEC Article 100. Okay, that section. So two important definitions are labeled and listed. Definitions are labeled and listed, which means that a product that has been marked and certified as manufactured to a certain standard, Underwriters Laboratory, for example, is a national product certification laboratory. So again, just looking at if it's has been tested, if it's been certified, if it's been marked, or it haven't received approval yet. But that's some of the things that Underwriters Laboratory will do. NEC Chapter 2 covers wiring design and protection, while the NEC Chapter 3 covers wiring methods and materials. And Chapter 4 covers equipment. So if you're looking for things that dealing with wiring design and protection, like fuses or breakers, just look in Chapter 2. If you're looking at wiring coverings, like the insulation that's on the wires, and if it's permissible, for example, if you're going to be burying wire underground, what need to be around that wire to protect it? Because there may be chemicals, they might cause moisture in the ground, and not all insulation is the same. It's going to be in areas where it's going to be extremely warm, which can cause the insulation to melt or won't be able to withstand the heat. So the insulation on the wires, they will specify what type of insulation based on the type of installation. Chapter 5, 6, and 7 covers special equipment, conditions, and occupancies. And again, special equipment. It might be HVAC equipment. It might be refrigeration equipment. It might be some equipment in a factory. And so how should it be wired? How amount of current? If it's a motor-driven device, what type of how should it be installed? such as when I said install, we're talking about the conduit. For example, special equipment, there's what we call explosion-proof boxes. And when there's location where a spark can cause a explosion because the environment where the is located. For example, let's say it's at a BP plant where they're producing gasoline and there's petroleum products and things which can be flammable. And so if a motor is running and a spark comes from it, will ignite something to cause an explosion or cause something to flame. So again, looking at special equipment. Chapter 8 covers communication systems. Chapter 9 contains tables. So you're looking for tables for wire sizing or the number of conduits inside of a box or a conduit, or if you're looking for gauge sizes based on amount of current, we will go straight to chapter 9. And informational type of indexes, A through J, provide helpful when applying the NEC requirements. So looking for where to find additional information. So again, finding specific installation requirements. And so to locate information for a specific installation, use the following steps. Step 1, familiarize yourself with the NEC Article 90 and 100 and 110 to gain an understanding of the material covered in the NEC and the definitions used in it. Number 2, turn the table of contents at the beginning of the NEC. Now you'll be able to find what you're looking for a little bit quicker. Locate the chapter and focus on the desired category. Again, just not flagging through the book because the book is thousands of pages. Find the article pertaining to your specific application. Number 4. Number 5, turn the page indicated for each of the beginning with the bold heading. That's what you're going to be looking for each one of the steps as you go through. In other words, the book is put together very logically, and you just need to look at each one of the sections and parts to be able to pinpoint, because again, you can look, you can spend a lot of time trying to find something if you're not using the way it was designed to be used. So installing type SE cable. SE cable. SE cable is a special cable. It's used. It's flexible, and it's got a rubber coating on it, and is used with multiple conductors in it. So look at the NEC table of contents and follow down to the list until you find an appropriate category, or you can use the index at the end of the book, and that's a lot of times the best way to find something very specific, because the index will tell you exactly what page to find it on. Step 2, the NEC Article 230. Services will probably catch your eyes first, so turn to the page where it begins. Step 3 is scan down through the sections and numbers until you come to NEC section 230.51. Mounting supports. Upon reading this section, you will find in the paragraph a service entrance cable, that the service entrance cable shall be supported by straps or other approved materials within 300 millimeters, which is 12 inches of every service head. In other words, you're going to put a clamp supported about 12 inches at the top where power is coming in. And it says the gooseneck or connection raceway, and then the intervals not to exceed 30 inches or 750 millimeters. So in other words, if you're going to strap it, they want to make sure that that service cable and the conduit that's on that wall, that it is secured uh, in a way that it's not going to be loose or flapping around or moving around, that is secured. So in other words, it's going to be a solid installation of that main power source coming in. It's a service entrance. That's the main power coming into a building. So installation track lighting, that's another thing we can look at, section 222. But in a way, we can look at this diagram, show you power coming in from a distribution plant where there's transformers from an industrial plant, and how they would bring it into the house. But the main thing is that domestic power will have a service entrance, and we will find that is located in 230. If you go through other parts of the house, you will see how they broke down different parts of the NEC where you would find that information. So, like the lighting in a house is found in Article 400, and to be more specifically, 410. And then we're looking at the switches. That's 404. And the article, the NEC Article 810 is going to other things, your TVs, that's electronics equipment. So again, as you want to find out more, of course, as an electrician, we probably don't care about the TV, but a TV repairman or uh, would need to know more about those codes. So again, even on the commercial side, industrial side, we can see where to find information. If you notice, and a lot of this information, both residential and commercial and industrial, in the same section. If you look at the 400 sections, you can see is that some of the things are inside of a house, and others actually an industrial plant or the power supply to the plant. All right, chapters in the NEC contains a group of articles related to a broad category, 9 chapters from the broad structure of the NEC. So in other words, there's chapters, and inside of the chapters we have articles. And so again, once you look at a chapter, only going to be certain things in it. And again, 9 chapters. Exceptions. Exceptions follow the applicable sections of the NEC and allow alternative methods to be used under specific conditions. Informational note. Explanatory materials that follow specific NEC sections. Informational notes are not enforceable. The notes are not enforceable, but the code is enforceable. When I said that all the codes are basically a legal document, that if it's done and if you don't do it correctly, you can be legally liable. So electricians or any trades must follow the codes. You could lose your license if you do not, especially if there was life and death occurring from an accident. Parts. So parts of the articles. So the parts is it contains articles in the NEC are subdivided into parts that covers a specific topic. Parts have Roman numbers designation. So again, like NEC Article 250, Part 9, Roman number IX mean 9. Instruments, meters, and relays. Sections, when they break into sections, they usually put a dot there. So to divide it into a smaller section. So they change the number to the main number. So parts and articles are subdivided into sections. Sections have numeric designation that follows the article number and are preceded by a period. So again, this is section 501, and it is part 4. And it will keep on getting larger as it goes through. So you can designate the topics that you're looking at. Information on calculating branch circuits loads can be found in, of course, this is from your reading, and we know the wiring portions of it would be in the 200 sections, and 220 would be more specific. With NEC Article 406, can you find information on installing receptacles in damp or wet locations? Where will you find it in 406? And for wet locations. This would be something we would look at when we're looking at installing electrical outlet near a swimming pool. And the answer would be 406.9. And that's the end of this section.